All right, we got a bit of a different video for you today. So there's actually, I could probably have made several videos out of this. It's just, usually when you do a test, you're testing that one thing, but sometimes you discover other things during the test. And I could actually kind of split this apart into several videos going through the different things. And we're just going to kind of run through it real quick and, explain what I discovered here. So, this is the pull and saw, and I need to change it over to a square chain. The next race I'm attending is going to allow square chain. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm working on getting it switched over to square chain. But before I really got into it, I decided to test it to see if a leaner tune would make it faster. So I said previously that I felt like the saw was tuned a little rich at the races, and I just kind of let it be. It was running good, and I felt like, just better off to leave well enough alone and not get into that stuff right then and there. You know what I mean? And I felt like it was running a little rich. So today, whenever I fired it up, I went ahead and took the opportunity to lean it out a tiny bit, which is roughly a quarter of a turn, probably just a little under a quarter of a turn leaner. So you're going to see that in this video, the results of that, because, while at the last race, I lost by, 0.13 seconds, I think it was. It's a tenth of a second. It's a little over a tenth of a second that I lost by. And, if I can get just a little bit more out of it on the tune, then maybe that won't happen next time. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I was doing. But the actual main purpose of this video was to test the square chain that I was putting on it and compare it to my round chain. The thing is, the results were kind of unexpected. So I'll let you go ahead and watch it, and then I'll come in at the end and we'll talk about it a little bit more, and I'll kind of explain what I think is going on. Alrighty? Alright, we're going to do some quick testing here. This is the chain I ran at the last races, and I got to switch this guy over to square chain for the next race. So I'm kind of developing a square, but I want to see, I don't know, for me mostly, I just want to compare and see how much of a difference there is. I got a feeling I got the raker too deep on that square chain. I find that the better I get the chain to eat wood, the higher the raker needs to be. I don't know. We'll see. Doesn't make sense, does it? We're going to see, though. So this is the chain I ran at the last races. We're going to make probably two or three cuts. Then we're going to switch over to the square that I'm working on right now. All right? If you didn't notice, I tuned it. I leaned it out just to, I don't know, almost a quarter of a turn, I'd say. So she is a little leaner now. I'm kind of curious to see if it's faster if I leaned it out. That's why I did that. And we're going to check. I mean, I lost by just a hair over a tenth of a second that last race. Did I, did that fatter tune cost me the race? It cost me the win. So I leaned her out a little bit. We're going to see if that slightly leaner tune made it a little faster. We're back. Square chain. And if you've seen the video in the last one, we did this too. I'm hoping this one's actually faster. So we'll see. But I'm hoping this chain is actually faster than the last one we tested. Let's see what happens. All right, this is the second time we've done this test, and I still can't tell which one's faster. It's kind of like, is my square chain that slow, or is my round chain that fast? The square is definitely a heck of a lot smoother, though. There was a cut. I think the first cut was, I don't know, she was a hard piece of wood. And I could feel it on the last cut of the round chain. It was definitely a little harder. And the first cut of this chain, I could tell it was harder. But after that, it kind of smoothed out. It was just a little bit rougher. You could feel a little vibration going through the wood, you know what I mean? But I could tell. Now to compare. All right, so this is that round chain. It's sitting right here. This is it. This is the one. The magic came alive right on this chain right here. This is it. I don't know. I'm going to find a special hiding spot for this guy. It ain't going nowhere. And it's only coming out for the really, really important days, you know what I mean? It's still perfectly sharp. Nothing. Not a single issue. We're saving that bad boy. But were you surprised at how well this chain kept up with the square? So that's either a sign of just how well this chain is doing, or that I need to keep working on that square a little more, you know what I mean? I think it's kind of both, personally, but I can tell you the square it's pretty fast. One of the things you may not have noticed in the video, I spoke about it in the video, is that I noticed how towards the last cut on this chain, I noticed that the wood got harder. And it started giving me a vibration through the cut. And then whenever I switched to the square, same thing. I could tell the wood was harder. It was giving me a vibration through the cut. And it took a couple of cuts to get past whatever that was going on with the wood. But what I discovered is, I actually didn't show this part on the video, is that the cuts at the end of the square chain, like say I think I made like 7 or 8 cuts. If I would have compared those last 3 cuts to the round chain, the results would have been a little different. The square was faster at the last 3 cuts than it was earlier. You know what I mean? The first couple of cuts on it. And I think that's just because of the hardness of the wood. But what I'm finding is that as the wood gets harder, square chain's advantage to cut faster kind of gets limited to a point. You know what I mean? It's like it loses its advantage to cut faster as the wood gets harder. And you know, the softer it gets, the better it'll do. And that's kind of what I'm finding with this square. So I'm testing on this cherry, and I've said before that you really need to test on something softer if you're going to race in something softer, because testing on hardwood will kind of give you a bogus result. And from those results you just seen, you'd say, well, just sharpen up more round. Why spend all the money getting to sit up on square, especially the amount of money I have, to go to square whenever I got my round cutting as well? You know what I mean? And it's because of the softer wood at the races. I think it's where the square is really going to come alive. It just has this ability to plow through softer woods like nothing else. And that's what I think we're actually seeing, is that because the wood was a lot harder at the first cuts, that it kind of skewed our results a little bit. Now there's some folks out there in Wonderland that know more about this subject than I do, and I'm sure some of them will leave some comments. Tell me if I'm right on my assumption here, but I think it's just because as the wood gets harder, square chain loses its advantage. So the round is able to keep up easier. I think that's what's going on. So, yeah. Now, as far as the tune, that leaner tune definitely helped it out, didn't it? In fact, that was probably enough right there that I probably would have run the race. You know what I mean? Just that little bit was probably enough that if I would have done that before the races, I probably would have won. But that's all right, you know what I mean? And I in the video there, I said it in the comparison. I said the fat tune versus the perfect one, and to be honest, I don't think that was a perfect tune. I didn't make enough cuts playing with the tune to really say 100%, but got a feeling I could lean it out just a touch more and get more out of it. So we'll leave that for another day. But I do believe there's still more in this saw on the tune. I still think I'm just a touch rich. And I think I definitely picked up 1/10 of a second. The question is, did I pick up like a half a second? I'm talking a half a second over 3 cuts. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty sweet if I did, you know? So, something we'll explore in the future. Playing with the tune on that guy a little more and seeing just how lean that saw wants to live at. Because I haven't done this in a long time with this saw. It's, well, the rings weren't seated. The last time I played with this tune like this, trying to find that sweet spot, it was probably still, yeah, I don't think the rings were seated back then. So it's time to play with it some more. She's definitely got the rings seated. Everything's, you know what I mean? It's good to go. We need to get this done, and we'll save that for our future. So, alrighty. Hey, we'll catch you later.